are moments in life when everything feels loud. The world, our thoughts, our fears. We chase success, validation and comfort, yet still feel empty. And then, sometimes one unexpected encounter changes everything. This is the story of Jay Shetty, a boy from London who grew up between two worlds, struggling to fit into either. He wasn't born a monk, a speaker, or a global icon of wisdom. He was just another young man trying to make sense of pain, love, and meaning in a world that never stops running. But life has a strange way of whispering truth in the middle of chaos. For Jay, that whisper came in the form of a monk, a man whose peace was louder than any noise. That meeting shattered his older reality and opened a door to something eternal. What follows is not a story of fame or fortune. It's the story of a transformation, of falling and rising, of finding stillness in the storm, and discovering that the greatest journey of all is the one that leads us inward. This is the real story of Jay Shetty. In a quiet corner of London, where buses hummed down grey street and small shops glowed with yellow light in the evening, a boy named Jay Shetty began his journey. He was not born into fame, nor into great wealth. His life began in an ordinary house, with ordinary walls, in a neighborhood where many voices and many languages fill the air. London itself was like a patchwork quilt. On one street, you might smell curry drifting from a family kitchen. On the next, you would hear church bells. Around another corner, a mosque would call worshippers to prayer. Children from every part of the world played side by side, sometimes arguing, sometimes laughing, always learning from one another without even knowing it. In the middle of this colorful city stood Jay, quiet, thoughtful, a little shy. He watched more than he spoke. At school, he often sat back, noticing details others ignored. Who was cheerful, who was lonely, who tried to hide their sadness. He carried questions inside him, questions too large for a boy's mouth. Why are people happy? Why do others suffer? What does it mean to belong? At home, life was filled with warmth. His mother cooked meals rich with spice, steam rising from pots of lentils and vegetables. His father spoke of duty and honesty, values that guided every small act. Around the dinner table, stories were told, not only of London, but of India, the land his family had left. Festivals filled their calendar with light and color. In these moments, Jay felt the thread of his root, strong and comforting. But outside, in the rush of schoolyards and busy street, he sometimes felt like a stranger. His skin, his food, his faith, these marked him as different. At times, he wished he could blend in, speak and act like everyone else. At other times, Pride rose in him, pride in his heritage, his family, his history. It was a tug of war inside a boy's chest, leaving him restless. He was not the top student, nor the loudest voice in class, but Jay carried something else, curiosity. He read stories of saints, listened to the wisdom of elders, and wondered why some people seemed calm, even when life was hard. His teachers noticed his thoughtful eyes. His friends sometimes turned to him for advice, sensing he listened differently. The city around him was fast, loud, full of expectation, but inside, Jay moved more slowly, as if listening for something quieter. He did not yet know what that voice was. He only knew that it was there, soft, steady, waiting to be heard. This was his beginning, an ordinary boy in an ordinary city, standing between two cultures, searching for a place where they could meet. The answers hadn't yet come, but the questions were already alive. As Jay grew older, the streets of London seemed to grow louder around him. The schoolyards filled with bigger voices, faster laughter, and new pressures. Teachers spoke of grades and futures. Friends spoke of parties, music, and trying to be popular. For a boy who had always watched quietly from the inside or from the side, this was a storm he couldn't avoid. At home, the traditions of his family continued. Festivals lit the rooms with color. Prayers echoed softly in the mornings, and meals brought warmth. But outside, another world called to him, a world of loud songs, flashing light, and restless night. Jay was caught between the two. He tried to belong. He joined friends at parties where the air smelled of smoke and music thumped so hard till the walls seemed to breathe. He laughed when they laughed, drank when they drank, and played the part of a young man chasing fun. But when he returned home late at night, the laughter felt thin. He would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, asking himself if this was all life was meant to be. There was a hunger inside him, though he could not yet name it. A hunger for meaning, a hunger for peace that did not vanish when the music stopped. Schoolwork carried its own weight. Exams approached, teachers pressed, and the world seemed to say, choose a career, choose a path, decide who you are. But Jay did not know. Numbers and essays filled his notebooks, yet his heart felt empty. He wanted something more than success measured on paper. In those years, he carried questions like secret stones in his pocket. Why do some people seem calm in chaos? Why do others crumble? What makes life worth living? He searched for answers in books, in conversations, in late night walks along quiet street, but the answers did not come easily. One evening, by chance, he attended a talk in London. A friend had invited him, and Jay almost said no. But something in him agreed to go. The room was plain, filled with ordinary chairs and ordinary people. Yet at the front stood a man in simple robes, a monk. His voice was gentle, his words steady. He spoke not of money or fame, but of service, of peace, of living with purpose. Jay sat still, listening. His friends shifted in their seat, but he leaned forward. The monk's words touched something deep in him, something he had carried since childhood, but never heard spoken aloud. Life is more than chasing pleasure. Life is more than proving yourself. Life is about service, about meaning, about becoming who you truly are. When the talk ended, Jay did not rush out. He lingered, eyes following the monk, mind full of questions. That night, as he lay in bed, the music of past parties seemed far away. In its place was the monk's calm voice, echoing softly, "There is another way to live." The restless teenager who had spent years trying to fit into a noisy world had just glimpsed a doorway into silence. The memory of that first talk stayed with Jay, like a lantern in a dark room. Days passed, but the words of the monk did not fade. While friends planned the next party or spoke of exams, Jay's thought returned again and again to that quiet hall, to the steady voice that had cut through the noise. He began to seek more. Whenever a monk visited London to speak, Jay would find a way to be there. He sat in the audience, sometimes near the front, sometimes at the back, always listening. The monk spoke of simple things: waking early, controlling the mind, serving others before yourself. They spoke of joy that did not depend on wealth, a peace that did not depend on noise. It was a different language than the one he heard in daily life. At school, success was measured in grades. Among friends, it was measured in laughter, in drink, in daring. But here, success was measured in stillness, in kindness, in service. The contrast stirred something deep inside Jay. At home, he told his parents about these talks. They listened with patience, though with concern. They wanted a secure future for their son, a good job, a stable life. The path of monks sounded far from safe. Jay understood their worry, but the pull inside him grew stronger. One summer, he was given the chance to travel to India. For most young men his age, India meant visiting family, enjoying festivals, or exploring crowded cities. But for Jay, the journey held a different call. He wanted to meet the monks where they lived, to see the life they spoke about with his own eyes. So he went. The plane lifted from London, carrying him away from the grey city street he had always known. Hours later, he stepped into India's heat, air heavy with spice and dust, streets alive with horns, voices and color. It was overwhelming, yet strangely alive. Soon he found himself at an ashram, a place where monks lived, studied and prayed. The gates were simple, the buildings plain. Yet the moment he entered, he felt something different. The noise of the city faded. The air seemed calmer, as if even the trees breathed slowly here. He met monks in robes of saffron, their heads shaved, their smiles open and gentle. They welcomed him not with ceremony, but with warmth. One placed a hand on his shoulder, guiding him inside. Another offered him food, simple rice and lentils served on a metal plate. The days in the ashram followed a rhythm. At dawn, a bell rang. Monks gathered to chant, their voices rising in harmony as the sun climbed. Afterward came colored hours of study, of meditation, of service, cleaning, cooking, teaching. Jay joined them, uncertain at first, but slowly learning the flow. He swept floors, washed dishes, carried buckets of water. It was work, but it felt different than chores at home. Each act was part of something larger, done with focus and purpose. In the evenings, Jay sat with the monks under white skies. They spoke softly, answering his questions with patience. "Why leave the world?" he asked. They smiled. "We do not leave the world, we serve it in another way. We seek truth so we can give it back." Days became weeks. Jay felt both tested and transformed. The life was hard. Early mornings, plain food, strict rules. Yet within that discipline, he felt a freedom he had never known. His mind, once restless, began to quiet. His heart, once torn between two worlds, began to settle. When the time came to leave, he did not want to, but the monks told him gently, "The path is not to escape the world, but to live in it with new eyes. Take what you have learned and carry it back with you." So Jay returned to London, carrying more than luggage. He carried a seed, a vision of life lived with meaning, simplicity and service, a seed that in time would grow. Jay returned to India once more, but this time with a different heart. He was no longer just a visitor, curious about monks. He wanted to live as they lived, to taste the discipline of the daily rhythm, to test himself against the silence and the service. The monastery welcomed him with simplicity. No grand doors, no golden halls, just plain walls, cool stone floors, and the sound of bare feet moving in harmony. His new home was a small cell, bare walls, a thin mat, single blanket, and a shelf for books. There was no decoration, no distraction. Here every object had a purpose. The day began before the sun. At 4 in the morning, the bell rang. Its sound was not loud, but it was steady, vibrating in the stillness. Jay rose with the others, washed in cold water, and joined the circle of monks in the prayer hall. Their voices rose in chant, ancient words flowing like a river through the dark. He closed his eyes, let the sound carry him, and felt the weight of the world outside grow lighter. After prayer came meditation, hours spent sitting cross-legged, breathing, watching the restless mind. At first, it was torture. His thought ran wild. Memories of London, flashes of phrases, list of things undone. His legs ached, his back stiffened, but slowly, with guidance, he learned to sit in the storm until the storm passed. In those quiet spaces, he discovered something he had never known: the stillness beneath the noise. Meals were simple: rice, lentils, vegetables, fruit, always shared, always given with gratitude. Before eating, the monks bowed their heads, thanking the hands that grew and cooked the food. Jay learned to chew slowly, to taste each bite, to see even food as part of a cycle of service. The afternoons were filled with work. Monks cleaned halls, swept paths, cooked meals, washed robes. Jay joined eagerly. What might have felt like chores elsewhere now became lessons in humility. Scrubbing floors taught patience. Carrying water taught strength. Serving food taught kindness. Each act, no matter how small, was done with focus. Evenings were for study. Jay read scriptures, listened to the two teachers, asked questions late into the night. He learned not only about faith, but about the mind, how it wandered, how it clanged, how it could be trained to let go. Life was strict, but it was free. There were no parties, no exams, no pressure to prove himself. Instead, there was rhythm. Wake, pray, work, serve, rest. The world outside, its noise, its demands, seemed far away. Yet the hardest lessons were inside. Jay faced his ego, his impatience, his doubt. Some days he wanted to quit. Some nights he wondered if he belonged. But each time, the monks reminded him gently, the path is not easy, but peace grows only through practice. Months passed. His heart grew lighter, his eyes clearer. For the first time, he felt not torn between cultures, not lost in noise, but rooted in a deeper purpose. He was not yet a teacher, he was still a learner, a seeker, but the monk's life had reshaped him. It planted in him a way of being he would carry forever. 3 years passed like a gentle carrot. Jay had entered the monastery as a restless young man. He left as someone quieter, steadier, shaped by silence, service, and discipline. Yet life was asking him to return, not because he had failed, but because his teachers believed his path was not to remain hidden behind monastery walls. His calling was to bring the wisdom he had learned back into the noisy world he had left. So one morning, with folded robes and a heavy heart, Jay walked away from the ashram. The gates closed behind him, and the hum of the city rose ahead. India's streets welcomed him with their usual chaos, honking horns, rushing people, colors and sounds colliding. He felt almost like a visitor, as if the world he had once known now belonged to someone else. When he returned to London, the contrast was even sharper. Trains rattled, advertisement flashed, crowds hurried. The silence of morning meditation was replaced by alarms and traffic. The simple meals of rice and lentils were replaced by fast food on crowded street. Everywhere he turned, people seemed busy, tired, chasing things they could never quite catch. Jay tried to fit back in, but the fit was awkward. His old friends still loved parties, late nights, and loud laughter. They welcomed him warmly, yet he felt out of rhythm with their pace. He was different now. He no longer wanted to escape in noise. He wanted to find meaning in quiet. His family too worried. They had supported his time in the monastery, though with hesitation. Now they hoped he would find stable work, a career that paid bills and built a future. But Jay struggled. Job interviews came and went. Employers looked at his time in India with confusion. A monk's discipline was admirable, they said, but not practical. Weeks stretched into months, doubts crept in. At night, Jay sat in his room, wondering if he had made a mistake. He had chosen a rare path, but what did it mean now? Could the lessons of the monastery survive in the world of deadlines and rent? Or would they fade like smoke in the rush of the city? Slowly, he began to test his new skills in small ways. He meditated each morning, even if the city roared outside his window. He listened deeply when friends shared troubles, offering not quick answers but calm presence. He spoke at small community events, telling stories of the monks, how they found joy in service, how they mastered the mind, how they chose purpose over noise. At first, the rooms were nearly empty, a handful of listeners, sometimes none at all. But those who came told others. Word spread. There was a young man in London who spoke with the peace of a monk and the understanding of a neighbor. The road was not easy. Jay had little money, little support, only a seed of faith that what he had learned mattered. But as he walked the crowded street of London, he began to notice something. Behind the rush, behind the noise, people were hungry, not for food, not for drink, but for peace. And that was what he carried. London was vast, restless, and full of noise. But Jay carried something different inside him. Quiet discipline, the voice of the monastery, and the memory of dawn chant in India. The question was how to share it. He had spoken in community halls, in small gatherings, sometimes to just a few listeners. People were moved, but the rich were small. The world outside seemed too big, too distracted. It was then that Jay noticed something. Everyone, everywhere, had their eyes on their phones. On trains, in cafes, on sidewalks, people scrolled through screens as if searching for something they could not name. Jay realized that if people were already looking at those screens, perhaps wisdom should meet them there. He began to record short videos. At first, they were simple: a calm voice, a short story, a lesson told in plain words. He spoke of gratitude, of slowing down, of serving others. He filmed in quiet corners, using what little equipment he could find. There were no polished studios, no big teams, just Jay, a camera, and the message he wanted to share. The early days were hard. Few watched. Views were small, likes even smaller. Friends wondered why he wasted time. But Jay remembered the lessons of patience. He kept going, posting one video after another, speaking as if to a single listener. Slowly, something shifted. One video was shared more than others. A story about kindness, another about love. A short clip about gratitude spread across feeds, reaching strangers far beyond London. Messages began to appear. This helped me. This calmed me. This gave me hope. Jay felt the spark of connection. What had once reached a few in small halls was now reaching thousands, then millions. His calm voice, shaped by silence in India, found its way into the busy heart of people across the world. With growth came challenge. The online world moved fast, demanding constant content, rewarding drama more than peace. But Jay held steady. He remembered the bell at dawn, the discipline, the monastery. He posted regularly, but never chased noise. He kept his words simple, his tone calm, his purpose clear. Soon opportunities came. Invitations to speak at events, messages from companies asking him to share mindfulness with their workers, interviews with magazines curious about the monk who turned to social media. Jay remained humble. For him, it was not about fame. It was about service. If his videos reached even one person who needed peace, they had done their job. Day by day, his audience grew. People began to see him as more than a seeker. He became a guide, a voice of calm in a storm of information. His words crossed borders. His face appeared on screens in homes he would never visit. His message traveled farther than caravans once did on the Silk Road. The world had changed, but the hunger was the same. People still longed for meaning, for peace, for wisdom, and now, through phones and videos, Jay was offering them a path. The boy from London, once restless and unsure, was now the digital monk, carrying ancient truths into a modern world. The videos kept flowing. One by one, Jay released them steady as footsteps. His voice stayed calm, his lessons simple, his heart focused on service. What began as a small effort grew into a wave. People from every corner of the world shared his words. Mothers listening at night, students watching between classes, workers pausing in busy offices. Soon media noticed. Journalists asked, "Who is this young man in simple clothes, speaking like a monk, but living in London?" Invitations arrived. Talk shows wanted him. Companies wanted him to teach mindfulness to tired employees. Universities invited him to speak about purpose and resilience. Jay stepped onto bigger stages. The first time he felt the weight of the crowd, hundreds of eyes watching, waiting. But when he began to speak, the room softened. His words were not loud, not sharp, but steady. He told stories of sweeping monastery floors, of sitting in silence at dawn, of choosing gratitude over greed. People leaned in, hungry for the calm in his tone. As his reach grew, Jay decided to gather his thought into a book. In 2020, he released Think Like a Monk. Inside were lessons he had carried from India to London. Discipline, stillness, purpose, and service. The book spread quickly, climbing bestseller list, passed from hand to hand, recommended in whispers. Read this, it might help you. His podcast On Purpose brought even more voices to the table. Jay sat with actors, musicians, athletes, and thinkers. They shared stories of success and struggle, of finding balance in a busy world. Millions listened, not just for the guest, but for the gentle way Jay asked questions, for the silence he allowed between words, for the sense that he truly listened. Television welcomed him too. He sat across from Oprah, across from Ellen, his calm voice steady even under bright lights. He did not chase celebrity. He carried the same message. Slow down, reflect, live with intention. His saffron robes were gone, but the monk was still there. In his posture, his patience, his way of holding space for others. Fame did not change his purpose. He traveled widely, but each place he spoke, he returned to the same themes: service, gratitude, love, and purpose. He did not claim to have all the answers. Instead, he offered tools, practices, and stories, seeds that listeners could plant in their own lives. The boy who once sat shyly in London classrooms was now a voice to millions. Yet, he never forgot the monastery, the dawn bell, the silence of meditation. That foundation kept him steady as the world around him grew louder. He had become a guide, storyteller, a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life. His rise was not sudden, it was steady, built on patience, service, and the belief that calm words could still move restless hearts. Years had passed since the boy from London first listened to a monk's quiet words in a small hall. The restless teenager who once chased parties had become a man known across the world. Yet he carried the same gentle question in his heart: how can I serve? Jay Shetty's days now look different than those in the monastery, but the rhythm of wisdom still guided him. Each morning, he set time aside for silence, for breathing, reflection, and gratitude. The world around him moved fast, emails and calls arriving without pause, but he learned to protect moments of stillness. They kept him rooted, reminding him that true strength grows from calm, not chaos. Through his books, podcasts and talks, Jay shared lessons drawn from ancient traditions, but wrapped in modern words. He spoke of purpose, not as a distant treasure, but as something found in daily choices, in kindness to a stranger, in gratitude for a meal, in patience with loved ones. He spoke of service not as sacrifice, but as joy. He showed that the path of a monk did not have to be hidden in monasteries. It could be lived in cities, offices, homes. People from every background found comfort in his words. Students struggling with exams, parents raising children, workers lost in busy schedules, even leaders and celebrities seeking balance, all leaned into his voice. His calm tone reminded them that peace was not far away. It was already within, waiting to be uncovered. Jay's mission was not to stand above others, but to talk beside them. He told his listeners often, "I'm still learning, still practicing, still searching, just like you." That honesty made his message stronger. He wasn't a saint on a pedestal. He was a fellow traveler on the road of life, offering tools gathered from his own journey. Looking back, his story carried many turns. London classrooms, restless teenage years, Indian monasteries, empty rooms with small audiences, viral videos that reached millions. Each stage seemed different, yet all were threads of the same cloth. They wove together into a simple truth. Wisdom grows when shared, and service gives life its deepest meaning. Jay continued to dream of a world where ancient practices could guide modern lives, where meditation and mindfulness were as natural as breakfast, where kindness was strength and love was purpose. His legacy was not built in stone temples or golden halls, but in the quiet heart of people who carried his words into their daily lives. As night falls and the world grows still, one can imagine Jay sitting quietly, eyes closed, breathing deeply, remembering the sound of a monk's voice in London long ago. That single moment lit a path that has carried him and countless others toward peace. As the years passed, Jay Shetty's message became a movement, not because of wealth or power, but because of truth. He reminded the world that stillness is strength, that wisdom is timeless, and that kindness never goes out of style. From the chaos of London street to the quiet of an Indian monastery, his path was not easy, but it was real. It was the journey of a man who chose purpose over comfort and peace over popularity. And maybe that's why his story matters, because deep down we all want what Jay found, not more noise, not more success, but meaning. So, as you finish this story, take a breath. Listen to the silence inside you, because sometimes the next great journey is the one that begins right now, within your own heart.